Welcome. You're joining us for a deep dive today. We're really getting into what makes us, well, resilient.
Hmm.
We're taking a close look at Amy Morin's book, 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do.
Right. A really popular one.
Exactly. And not just a summary, more like digging in to find those concrete strategies and maybe some of those aha moments.
Yeah, things you can actually use to build that inner strength and maybe more importantly, avoid some common traps.
Definitely.
And what's really powerful about her insights, I think, is how they come straight from her own life. I mean, facing such huge losses.
Oh,
Her mother, then her husband, so young.
yeah, and later her second husband, too. It's incredible.
It gave her this pretty unique viewpoint on the habits that either trap us or, help us move forward when things get tough.
It really grounds the whole thing. The book started as her own list, right, to
Yeah.
help herself cope with grief.
Exactly. And then she started sharing it with her therapy clients.
So it comes from such a real place. These aren't just like abstract ideas pulled out of thin air. They're hard-won lessons.
Absolutely. And she kicks it off with that great analogy, the gym one.
Oh, yeah, the person working out really hard.
Doing all the right things at the gym, but then totally undermining it with like junk food afterwards.
Right. It's such a clear picture of how these hidden mental habits, things we might not even notice we're doing, can sabotage our own efforts.
Yeah, sabotage your goals, your well-being. So that's what we want to do today, shine a light on some of these key mental roadblocks for you.
Okay, let's dive into the first one. Resenting other people's success.
Hmm.
Oof, I think if we're honest, that's something most of us have felt at some point.
Oh, for sure. It's very human. But Morin's point is that mentally strong people actively work against indulging that feeling.
Why is that so important?
Well, think about the mental energy it takes up. Resentment is exhausting.
Yeah.
It pulls your focus away from your path, your goals, and it can seriously poison relationships. Every minute you spend looking sideways is a minute you're not moving forward yourself.
That makes sense. You're just wasting energy.
Exactly. Redirect it inward for your benefit.
And tied into that, she brings up defining personal success, which is huge, right?
Absolutely critical. It's so easy to just absorb society's definition, the money, the job title, the fancy car.
Mm-hmm. The external stuff.
Right. But what does success genuinely feel like to you? Is your definition actually yours or just an echo of what you think you should want?
That's a big question to ask yourself.
It really is. Mentally strong folks, they take the time to figure out their own values, what truly brings them fulfillment. They're not just chasing someone else's finish line.
She uses that amazing example of Herb Brooks, the hockey player.
Oh, yeah, the coach of the Miracle on Ice team. But before that.
He got cut from the 1960 Olympic team himself,
Right.
right before they won gold.
Right. And his reaction was apparently something like, well, you must have made the right decision. You won. Just, wow.
No bitterness, just acceptance.
Seems like it. And then later, as the famous coach, he was apparently very careful not to steal the spotlight from his players. He wanted it to be their moment.
Yeah. That's a great illustration. Avoiding resentment, focusing outward when coaching.
It really is. Shows that ability to handle disappointment and genuinely champion others' success. That's mental strength in action.
Okay, so if you, the listener, find yourself caught in that resentment trap sometimes, what can you actually do?
Morin suggests two key things. First, really define what success means to you, like write it down, make it concrete.
Get specific.
Yeah. And second, when those resentful thoughts pop up, because they probably will try to consciously swap them out for more rational ones, maybe acknowledge the other person's hard work or just firmly pivot back to your own plan, your next step.
Okay, good practical advice. Let's move to the next one. Giving up after the first failure. Another one that's easy to fall into.
So easy. That initial setback can really sting.
Yeah, you feel like, oh, I'm just not cut out for this.
Right. But the mentally strong perspective is different. Failure isn't like a final verdict on your ability. It's data.
Data. How so?
It's information. A chance to learn what didn't work, adjust your strategy. It's not a you're incapable sign. It's a try this differently sign.
Morin had some classic examples for this. Roland Macy.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Macy's department store. He had, what, like 4 or 5 failed retail businesses before Macy's actually took off?
Something like that.
Hey.
And even his first attempt at a parade, she mentions it was in the summer, didn't go so well.
Right. Too hot, probably. But he didn't just say, oh, well, parades are dumb.
No, he learned from it.
Exactly. He learned, adapted, and created the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. In cooler weather. That's the key, analyzing the failure, not just being stopped by it.
And then there's Milton Hershey, the chocolate guy.
Another great one. multiple failed candy businesses before hitting it big with Hershey's chocolate. Faced money problems, family doubts.
But he just kept experimenting, kept learning.
That persistence is incredible. He didn't let those early flops define him. He kept refining his approach. That's real grit.
So for someone listening, if you stumble, if you face that first failure, how do you adopt this mindset? How do you avoid just throwing in the towel?
Well, Morin stresses a few things. First, really look at the failure. Don't just push it away. What are the specific lessons?
Oh, yeah, analyze it.
Yeah, and take responsibility for your part. No blame game, no excuses. What could you have done differently?
Right.
And then, crucially, make a plan. How will you avoid making the same mistake again? It's about seeing failure as a step, maybe a detour, but not a dead end on your journey.
Got it. Okay, next up. Mentally strong people don't fear alone time. This feels very relevant today, doesn't it? We're always connected.
It really does. Like, we've developed an allergy to silence, to just being with our own thoughts. But Morin points out that choosing solitude, intentionally spending time alone, can be incredibly valuable for reflection, for recharging, even for creativity.
It's different from loneliness, though. That's
Yeah.
important.
Totally different. Loneliness is feeling disconnected, even in a crowd. Alone time, when you choose it, is about reconnecting with yourself, recharging those batteries.
He tells that story about Alicia, the woman who had temporary amnesia.
Yeah, that was wild. Apparently triggered by just extreme stress from being constantly overscheduled, never having downtime.
Wow. That's a wake-up call.
For sure. And for Alicia, it forced her to reprioritize, to actually schedule quiet time, enjoy simple things. It highlights the real cost of never switching off.
So if the idea of being alone feels a bit uncomfortable or even scary for someone listening, how can you start to embrace it?
Start small, Morin suggests. Maybe just turn off the TV or radio for 15 minutes.
No background noise.
Right? Or go for a short walk without your phone. Baby steps. Schedule it, like an appointment with yourself.
Like a date with yourself. I like that.
Yeah. And she also mentions practices like meditation or mindfulness.
Which can seem intimidating too sometimes.
They can, but they don't have to be. Mindfulness isn't necessarily about emptying your mind. It's more about just noticing what's going on in the present moment without judgment.
Paying attention on purpose.
Exactly. Even just a few minutes focusing on a breath can help train your attention. It can make you more comfortable with your own thoughts, make that alone time feel less like something to dread and more like an opportunity. Better focus, less stress, lots of benefits.
Okay, interesting. Let's shift to another one that could be a bit prickly. Mentally strong people don't feel the world owes them anything. That sense of entitlement.
Yeah, it can sneak up on you, that feeling, and Morin argues it's really detrimental.
How so?
Well, if you constantly feel like you deserve certain things, you're setting yourself up for disappointment when life inevitably doesn't deliver on your expectations.
Right, because life isn't always fair.
Exactly, and it erodes gratitude. If you think you're owed something, you're less likely to appreciate what you actually do have. Plus, it can really strain relationships. Nobody likes being around someone who constantly feels entitled.
She shares that incredibly moving story of Sarah Robinson.
Oh, wow, yeah. Battling a brain tumor, yet she focused her energy on creating Sarah's house to help other cancer patients.
And that journal entry.
Yeah.
I'm the luckiest woman alive while facing that. Just staggering.
It completely reframes everything, doesn't it? Her focus was on giving, on gratitude, even in the midst of immense personal suffering. That's the opposite of entitlement. It's incredible mental fortitude.
A powerful perspective shift. And then Wilma Rudolph, too.
Yeah, the Olympic champion who overcame polio as a child. She didn't use her difficult childhood as an excuse or feel the world owed her an easy path because of it.
She just focused on what she could control, her training, her determination.
Precisely. She didn't feel entitled. She just put in the work. An amazing example of resilience without that owed mentality.
So how can you, the listener, check yourself for these feelings? How do you move away from entitlement?
Self-awareness is the first step, always. Try to honestly notice when those thoughts pop up. I deserve this. Why didn't I get that?
Acknowledge it.
Yeah. And then consciously shift focus. Morin suggests focusing on giving rather than getting. Practicing gratitude, maybe keeping a gratitude journal, engaging in service for others. These things help cultivate appreciation and perspective, counteracting that entitlement.
Okay, good advice. Let's tackle the last one for today.
Mentally strong people don't expect immediate results.
Oh boy, This is a tough one in our world.
It really is. We're so wired for instant gratification now. Click a button, get a delivery, watch a show instantly.
Yeah, patience is not our strong suit collectively, maybe.
Right. But Morin stresses that truly significant achievements, the ones that matter long term, they almost never happen overnight. They require patience, persistence, a willingness to play the long game.
She talks about Marcy, the therapy client who wanted a quick fix for her unhappiness.
Yeah, she went in hoping for, like, a magic bullet. But she learned through the process that real change takes consistent effort over time. Setting realistic goals, working towards them step by step, whether it was improving her mood or eventually furthering her education.
It's about embracing the process, not just wanting the instant outcome.
Exactly. And Morin connects this to the broader societal trend, you know, how technology fuels that desire for instant everything.
And the downsides,
Yeah.
like maybe taking shortcuts.
Yeah, or neglecting long-term planning. She mentions the low retirement savings rates as one example. Like, people aren't planning for the future because it feels too far off, maybe. They want results now.
That's a sobering thought. So how do we fight that urge? How can you cultivate patience and manage expectations?
Morin offers some practical strategies. First, set realistic expectations. Understand that big goals take time and there will likely be bumps in the road.
Don't expect miracles overnight.
Right. Second, find ways to measure your progress, even the small steps. Acknowledge how far you've come.
Celebrate the small wins.
Definitely. That keeps motivation up. And finally, pace yourself. Think marathon, not sprint. Sustainable effort over the long haul beats burning out quickly.
Makes sense. So wrapping up our deep dive into these things mentally strong people don't do, it's pretty clear this isn't about flipping a switch.
Not at all. It's an ongoing process. Morin compares it to physical strength. In her conclusion, you have to keep working at it.
Maintain it.
Exactly. It requires continuous effort. Just like muscles, if you stop working on your mental resilience, it can weaken over time. There's always room to grow.
So a good takeaway for everyone listening is maybe to just reflect on these points. Which of these habits might resonate most with you? Where could you maybe make a small shift?
Yeah, just picking one area to focus on could make a difference. And maybe a final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
True strength. Maybe it isn't just about hitting those big goals right away or avoiding challenges altogether. Maybe the real strength lies in how you navigate the tough stuff, how you learn from setbacks, and how you keep going, persistently over time.
The journey itself.
Exactly. That ongoing journey of building that mental fortitude, perhaps that's where your real lasting power actually comes from. Something to think about.